When this incident first became known to the world, people simply thought it was just another celebrity privacy controversy. However, within a few days, the atmosphere completely changed. Far from settling down, the situation related to Mr. Lee-Yikyung is once again escalating. The German woman identified as the party involved in the incident appeared directly on YouTube, revealed her face, and gave a long interview appealing her innocence. Even immediately after that, public opinion seemed to lean towards, it might be true. But right then, Mr. Lee-Yikyung's agency released a bombshell statement. The agency claimed that evidence was found of a German woman meticulously conspiring in advance to extort a whopping 1 billion won. They explained that it went beyond simply demanding money, even revealing a conversation where she said, "I asked GPT and it said I wouldn't be punished. I'll just send an email, and if it's not right, I'll just apologize." And at the center of it all is a mobile phone, which she claimed to have already sold due to living expenses. The messages, photos, call records, and the truth of this incident, all intertwined, a strange object that has already left someone's hands. Currently, the opinions of fans, the public, the media, and the comment sections are completely divided into two. One side says, it was an extortion plot from the beginning to get money, and the other side says, the DMs released by the agency could also be fabricated. For one person's life, truth and lies, sympathy and anger are exploding simultaneously. The story we will follow today begins right here. Who was the real victim? And where on earth was the truth hidden? At one time, people naturally smiled when they thought of this actor. In dramas, in variety shows, he always stood as someone mischievous but not hateful, clumsy but lovable. A supporting actor who could instantly change the atmosphere of a scene with a single line or expression, but sometimes more vividly remembered than the lead. It wasn't glamorous from the start. There was a time as an extra, starting in a corner of the set, out of sight, and a time when his character's nickname was called more often than his full name. But he endured and endured, slowly but surely climbing up. Directors and staff constantly said, "That guy is really diligent," and viewers responded with, "The more I see him, the more I like him." In the entertainment industry, the reputation of being a controversy-free actor is never easily earned. To manage numerous schedules without major scandals and endure for a long time means living carefully and consistently. That was the image attached to Mr. Lee-Yikyung. Diligent on set, cheerful on broadcast, and never causing major problems in his private life. He tried to communicate with fans in his own way. Photos uploaded during filming breaks, posts promoting his works, everyday jokes, and short greetings. SNS was not just a promotional tool for him, but also a small bridge with his fans. A single photo, a single line of text sometimes brought comfort to someone, and sometimes brought a small joy to someone else's day. However, ironically, that very SNS, that direct message inbox, and the smartphone he held in his hand, would later become a fatal channel that would shake his entire life. One day, while he was in the prime of his career as a beloved actor and a trusted variety show cast member, a one-line Korean message from someone across the border was quietly flying into his message inbox. And no one could have imagined that that one line would be the first page of a long nightmare to unfold. Let's go back in time a bit, to around February of last year. In terms of his career, he was on a relatively stable upward curve. He had a steady stream of projects, had established himself in variety shows, and his image remained largely unshaken. Around that time, a woman living in Germany sent him a direct message on Instagram. The account's language was unfamiliar, and her profile was a mix of German and English. But the one line of message was clumsy, but clearly Korean. Words of encouragement like, "I'm enjoying the drama," a hint of affection felt beyond the screen, and what seemed like someone's sincere feelings from across the border. A fan's message is not an unfamiliar thing for a celebrity. Countless stories arrive every day, and some of them flow by unread. But that day, he replied to that message. It might have been curiosity or gratitude, or perhaps he just casually said hello. However, As the conversation continued, the situation began to change little by little. He asked, "Are you really German?" And the woman sent her selfie, explaining her nationality and daily life. Small conversations about the weather in Germany, her work, and how she came to watch Korean dramas went back and forth. A small cross-border conversation gradually turned into daily contact. The problem is what happened next. Expressions of mutual affection became frequent, and subtle jokes and nuances began to creep into the sentences. Messages exchanged at the end of the day, notifications checked last before bed, short pauses waiting for a reply. Little by little, more explicit words began to mix in. Finally, the conversation between the two, beyond the excitement of crossing borders, escalated to a level where explicit sexual remarks were exchanged, which is what German woman A later claimed. To what extent it was true and where the exaggeration began is still subject to investigation and verification at this moment, but what is clear is that all of this happened only on the screen of a mobile phone. She later said, "I really wanted to confirm if that person was really the actor Lee-Yikyung." She said she suspected whether the account had been hacked or if it was a prank. So she claimed to have sent an email to the agency. She said she sent an email to the company asking, "Is this account really the actor himself?" After that email, she said he contacted her directly through KakaoTalk. Ms. A recalled that at that moment, she finally became convinced, this really is him. And from then on, she said their conversations continued more frequently, more deeply, and more dangerously. However, the most important evidence to support all these stories, the KakaoTalk conversations, Instagram DMs, and video call records, which were on that very mobile phone, were, according to her later words, already sold due to living expenses. The evidence was in and simultaneously gone from a single sold mobile phone. And this secret conversation, which only existed on screen, soon exploded into the loudest revelation in the world. In late November 2024, the quietly flowing water began to churn significantly due to a video of about 10 minutes uploaded to a YouTube channel. On the channel of a host, known as a former entertainment reporter YouTuber, German woman A directly revealed her face and gave an interview. Her accent on screen was clearly not Korean. Unnatural pronunciation and rhythm, but mixed with a proficiency that made it understandable that she had studied Korean by herself for 8 years. People repeatedly watched the video, leaving comments like, "She really sounds German," and "She seems to have studied Korean for quite a long time." She calmly stated her name, the fact that she currently resides in Germany, and that she had never been to Korea, and she claimed to have been in contact with Mr. Lee-Yikyung since February of last year. She said she developed an interest after watching a drama and sent him a DM on Instagram and was surprised to receive a reply. At first, there were detailed descriptions of the situation, including the story that she was asked to send a selfie because people didn't believe she was really German. More than anything, what moved people's hearts were her expressions and demeanor during the interview, her trembling voice, the moments she paused while choosing her words, and her attitude of repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry," even while calling herself a victim. Her words, "I'm sorry for making this too big. I regret it a little, and I wish everything would just quietly pass," left a strange feeling in the listeners. The question of whether a truly wronged victim would speak in such a way, and the pity that there might be some truth if she was speaking with such trembling, arose simultaneously. Indeed, many netizens left comments like, "She really looks German," and "Her Korean accent sounds foreign," showing a shift in sentiment away from sympathizing with Ms. Lee-Kyung. During the interview video, there was also a part that showed Mr. A accessing Ms. Lee-Kyung's Instagram account in real time. This scene strongly conveyed the impression that this account is real. Comments filled the chat, speculating, if it's not impersonation, isn't there really something between the two of them? However, within that interview, several inconsistencies were already hidden. Her attitude of repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry," while calling herself a victim, the contradiction of choosing a public interview while saying, "I wish it would quietly pass," and crucially, her explanation that she had already sold her phone, which was the evidence to prove herself. But at that moment, many people didn't deeply consider how big of a contradiction it was. Perhaps it was because her expression, as if holding back tears in front of the camera, her trembling hands, and the image of a foreigner telling her story in a foreign language stimulated emotions before rational judgment. Public opinion at the time was moving like this. Even so, isn't there something to it? I thought she was funny and kind, but I guess celebrities are celebrities after all. Just a day before, the situation seemed to be clearly unfavorable to Ms. Yi-kyung. However, the very next day, a single message that would completely shake this interview was released to the world. On November 28th, Ms. Yi-kyung's agency released an official statement. It was not just a simple explanation, but an assertive statement that included the strong phrase, "We have detected circumstances indicating that German woman Ms. A conspired to commit a crime in advance." The evidence they presented was a screenshot of an Instagram direct message, which they claimed to have obtained through an anonymous tipster. In that screenshot, Ms. A was conversing with someone, and in that conversation, this sentence was clearly embedded. After sending an email to Yi-kyung's company, would it be okay to demand about 1 billion won? The conversation didn't end with this sentence. Complaints followed about the company paying too little, not having enough living expenses, even selling her phone, and struggling. And more than anything, what made people pause was the next content. I asked GPT and it said I wouldn't be punished. I'll send an email first, and if it doesn't work out, I can just apologize. This sentence revealed many things simultaneously. The possibility that she regarded this situation as an attempt, her lighthearted perception that she could just apologize if things went wrong, and above all, the fact that she felt relieved after hearing, "You won't be punished." Here again, that item we keep mentioning appears, a single phone that was sold. In the very phone that Ms. A said she sold because she was short on living expenses, there would have been both the evidence of the harm she claimed and this conversation screenshot that the agency has now revealed. It was as if the evidence that she was victimized and the circumstances that she might have conspired were intertwined in one device. The agency stated that upon releasing this screenshot, they immediately handed over all materials to their legal representative. They made it clear that they would submit evidence to investigative agencies, strongly suspect Ms. A's prior criminal conspiracy, and take strong action. At this point, someone might want to ask, if she were a truly wronged victim, would she have sold the only and most important evidence that could prove her claims? Could it be dismissed as a problem that she was in urgent need of living expenses? In fact, a search and seizure warrant has even been issued by the court. Digital evidence such as Kakao Talk conversations, Instagram DMs, photos and videos, and call records can largely be recovered through forensics even if deleted. Above all, the original device is crucial for determining the authenticity of a screenshot image. Nevertheless, she says, "I sold my phone because I needed money urgently." Meanwhile, another question is being raised online. Could the DM content released by the agency itself be fabricated? Isn't this an era where text screenshots can be forged at will? Experts take a step back and say this: the possibility that a pre-made video was played using the screen recording function, the possibility that the content itself was manipulated even if the account was real, and conversely, the possibility that the DM screenshot is also true, should all be kept open. As a result, the center of the battle was no longer a matter of who looks more pitiful. It was shifting from who cried louder or who appealed more emotionally to who had the real phone and real records and whose words matched the actual digital evidence. In the meantime, public opinion once again became extremely divided. On one side, reactions poured in asking, wasn't the goal extortion from the beginning? For many people, the single sentence, "Would it be okay to demand 1 billion won?" already seemed like a sufficient conclusion. The assessment followed. This was never love, a relationship, or harm from the start. It was just a huge gamble against a well-known Korean male celebrity. Conversely, on the other side, sharp suspicions still lingered. Arguments continued. Couldn't the DM released by the agency also be manipulated? And can you brand someone a swindler with just one sentence? Especially based on the unique foreign accent felt in the interview video, the real-time access to the account screen, and some previously known circumstances, there were still those who believed Ms. A In the interim, other tips began to emerge one by one. According to information disclosed by YouTuber Lee through additional tips, Ms. A had been following a large number of famous male celebrities and handsome influencers in Korea, and there were testimonies that she habitually sent lewd messages and provocative photos to some of them. One tipster said that Ms. A even sent them videos of sexual intercourse between men and women, and while sending explicit female photos, she would ask, "Aren't I sexier?" Stories also emerged that she would tempt them by saying, "I'll show you when we meet," or actively flirt with metaphorical expressions like, "I want to go eat ramen." At the same time, there were testimonies that she contacted multiple Korean men and tried to exchange sexual messages. Combining these tips, the possibility arises that Ms. A was not targeting just one actor, but indiscriminately approaching various Korean male celebrities. Among those many targets, Mr. Yi-kyung happened to be the one who actually replied. And that's how the incident began. How one interprets a person's actions can differ for each observer. To some, this may seem like clear hunting, while to others it might appear as a dangerous obsession stemming from loneliness and lack. The important thing is, no matter which interpretation is chosen, to whom and how harshly the consequences of that choice returned. Now, this case has moved beyond being a topic for entertainment news or YouTube videos and is in the hands of the police and investigative agencies. The police have secured data from Ms. A's blog and SNS accounts to identify her, and we are meticulously examining the actual conversations and past actions. As an arrest warrant has already been issued, it is anticipated that more specific facts will be revealed soon. In this long struggle, Mr. Yi-kyung has already lost a lot. He had to step down from the entertainment programs he appeared on, and his long-standing favorable image has been deeply tarnished. Once suspicion arises, it does not easily disappear. No matter how much he pleads his innocence, a small thorn of what if inevitably remains somewhere in people's hearts. Nevertheless, his agency states that the damage suffered by the actor and the company is extremely severe, and they recognize that such actions must be punished regardless of domestic or international boundaries. They will continue to respond strongly without any leniency, even if it takes a long time. At this point, we might need to rephrase the question we initially asked. Why did he choose silence at his peak? Why did he choose to risk everything to confirm the truth to the very end, instead of opting to just let it go quietly? Perhaps this fight is not just about a damaged image. In the SNS era, a story mixed with groundless accusations and potential manipulation can destroy a person's life to what extent? This might be his last resistance to see how far it can go. Now only one thing remains: the truth that will be revealed by the records on the mobile phone, which may still be in someone's hands. As we followed this story, there was one symbol we constantly had to recall. The one mobile phone that was said to have been sold but still exists somewhere. Inside it, there would have been countless conversations, photos, videos, and call records exchanged between the two. Whether it was called love, desire, or a transaction, traces explaining that relationship would have accumulated. And at the same time, the only key to verify both the interview that shook people's hearts and the agency's revelations would have been inside it. Looking at the life of actor Yi-kyung, a clear duality is visible. On stage and in front of the camera, he was diligent and cheerful. He made people laugh in his works, enlivened the atmosphere in entertainment shows, and sometimes shared his experiences honestly, leaving a warm impression on viewers. However, on a smartphone screen, he might have had another face. As a man, the possibility of having dangerous conversations with a foreigner who crossed borders and exchanging messages mixed with emotions and desires. To what extent he was wrong, and to what extent he was caught up in temptation, will be revealed by future investigations and evidence. German woman A is also a person difficult to define with a single line. To some, she appears to be a thoroughly calculated extortionist, and to others, a lonely person desperate for love and recognition. What is clear, however, is that she chose that path even though she could fully imagine what repercussions her choices would have on others. This incident, rather than distinguishing between good and evil in one person, starkly reveals the face of the era we live in. The SNS era, an era where anyone can become an accuser, and anyone can be branded as a perpetrator overnight. An era where a single screenshot, a few seconds of video, or a tearful confession from a foreigner with imperfect translation can bury someone's name in real time. Have you ever thought about it? That a single line of judgment we throw in a comment can carry the weight of shaking someone's entire career and life. No one knows yet how this incident will conclude. If all of Ms. A's claims turn out to be false, she will likely face severe punishment for spreading false information, defamation, and blackmail. Especially if the circumstances of the 1 billion won extortion conspiracy are confirmed to be true, the consequences might be far more severe than imagined. Conversely, if her words prove to be true in more aspects than his, Mr. Yi-kyung and his agency's position will become unbearably awkward. The explanations and various claims they have put forth so far will inevitably face new questions. However, considering the various circumstances revealed so far, it is also true that Ms. A's claims are entangled with too many contradictions and questions. The fact that she sold the most crucial core evidence, the mobile phone, her contradictory attitude in the interview, and the circumstances of the 1 billion won extortion conspiracy mentioned in conversations with acquaintances. This incident has truly been a series of reversals day by day, with revelations emerging, then apologies for AI manipulation, then reiterations that they were true, then her direct appearance on YouTube, only for the 1 billion won extortion conspiracy to be revealed the very next day. It is no exaggeration to say it was more dramatic than a drama. When this incident is completely over with time, how will people remember actor Yi-kyung? Will they remember him as a victim of false accusations or as someone who paid a harsh price for careless choices? Perhaps the answer will differ from person to person. However, one thing is clear. A name and story thrown onto the internet last longer than any mobile phone. While deleted texts and photos on a screen may eventually disappear, names and articles remaining in people's memories and search histories are not easily erased. I hope the truth is fully revealed, and I hope that quiet peace will one day come to all those who have been hurt. I hope this incident will be remembered for a long time as something that makes each of us pause and think before leaving a comment judging someone's life.